Good morning, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black people. I hope that all is well on your side, wherever you are. And this day is beginning and progressing very, very well for you and all of your wonderful, intelligent black loved ones. Know this, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. Jay-Z, in one of his songs, I believe it is entitled December the 4th. And if my memory is correct, December the 4th is his birth date. He said in a lyric that the drought will define a man when the well run dry. The drought will define a man when the well run dry. Courage does not occur when all is well. Success is present. Rather, courage reveals itself in a man when that man is under duress, when that man is being attacked, when that man is in a circumstance that presents all kinds of obstacles in front of him. From all flanks, he has obstacles and enemies. The drought will define a man when the well run dry. Think about that. Consider that, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. To be Republicans, first, there have to be a fear of black folks. To be Republicans, you must fear of violent protests. To be Republican, you must fear of any peaceful protest. To be Republican, you must be a dumb bunch of morons that has nothing better to do or to think than to declare their disdain of social distancing and wearing masks, because those two things will make these dumb, moronic Republicans live like cowards. That is a projection that these Republicans will place on other folks like me, like you, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. It's a projection that defines who Republicans really are. To be Republicans, you must give millions to wealthy white folks. Remember, in every tax assessment, every tax legislation, that these Republicans produce. They give millions to wealthy, racist white folks. To be Republican, you must be against giving $600 per week to unemployed poor folks. You notice how they resist the CARES Act and the attempted bailout of Democrats to provide funding, $600 per week for the folks that are unemployed because of the shutdown, because of COVID-19. To be Republican, you must want to study chokeholds. You must want to produce a study of chokeholds to see if chokeholds really kill black folks. How dumb is that? The Republican so-called police reform legislature would produce a study of chokeholds unequivocally. This is the Republicans are one dumb bunch of morons, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. To be Republican, you must deny that systemic racism exists in policing. Remember the coon, C-O-O-N, Tim Scott? He had a microphone and a camera in his face, and he said that there's no systemic racism in policing. He repeated what Trump said. He repeated what Larry Kudlow said. He repeated what Bill Barr said. And he repeated what Mike Pompeo said. That dumb bunch of morons are all playing in the same ballpark, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. To be Republican, you must deny that racist white cops are racist and there are no good white cops. The so-called good white cops are the ones that remain silent. The so-called good white cops are the ones that are complicit in the public lynchings, the public murders of black folks, unarmed black folks, every day. The good cops are remaining silent. The good cops are complicit in the murders and the lynching. There are no good white cops. Absolutely, there are no good white cops. To be Republican, you must go hunting for black folks to kill. To be Republican, you must go hunting for black folks to kill and or assault them to the nth degree. To be Republican, you must conspire with Russians. You must conspire with the Chinese. You must conspire with the Saudis to steal American elections. Republicans have been stealing elections for the last 35, 40 years. my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. To be Republican, you must use all of that inside stock, Wall Street, banking information to enrich yourself, like John Burr and many of those other ones, Republicans, and some Democrats, and they're all white, by the way. They use inside information to enrich themselves. To be Republican, you must deny voting rights to fellow Americans because they are black and brown. How unpatriotic is that? The basic fundamental of any democracy is the easy access of getting to the voting polls to vote. That's the basic fundamental of any democracy. And the Republicans are standing in the way of that, building walls to hurdle in order to vote, essentially making voting more difficult than it should be. To be Republican, you must gerrymander the congressional districts so that those fake-ass, criminal-minded Republican politicians can choose their own voters. How unfair is that? A Republican politician having the opportunity to choose the voters that will vote for them. That's what gerrymandering the districts will do. To be Republican, you must purge 1 million black folks from the state voting rolls. That's what they did in the state of Georgia. That's what they did in the state of Wisconsin. That's what they did in the state of Ohio. And I could go on and on, where there are a large population of black folks. And the state leadership is owned by Republicans, especially if there is a Republican governor. Then you will see a barrage of voter ID laws and purging black folks from the state voting rolls. That's how this idiot Brian Kemp became governor of the state of Georgia. That's how this moron Ron DeSantis became governor of the state of Florida. That's how this idiot Trump got elected to the White Boy House. To be Republican, you must give millions of taxpayer dollars to the Trump family, to the big banks, to Wall Street, to the big oil companies, and to the Fortune 500s. That's what Republicans are all about. The only legislature that they will produce of the kind that gives millions to all of those entities that I just mentioned. To be Republican, you must purge the federal government of all truth tellers and all real patriots. Have you noticed how Trump and his administration, the Republican Party, are purging all of the truth tellers, all of the real patriots from being employed by the federal government? To be a Republican, you must be terrified of the truth. To be a Republican, you must be terrified of patriots like me. To be a Republican, you must tear gas. You must use tear gas on your own people. Just a few weeks ago, Trump used tear gas in Lafayette Park to clear peaceful protesters from that park. To be Republican, you must deny that public lynching is a crime and should be made illegal. There's a bill in the Senate right now being denied by racist white Republicans because that bill would make public lynching a crime and therefore illegal. To be Republican, you must be okay with the death of George Floyd and thousands of other unarmed black folks at the hands of white racist cops. To be Republican, you must deny the dangers of COVID-19 disease. You must deny that the COVID-19 disease exists. To be Republican, you must use the absence of testing for COVID-19 as a weapon of mass destruction to kill more black folks, to kill more brown folks. To be a Republican, you must support Russians over Democrats. Haven't you heard these sick, delusionist Republicans say that they will report the Russians before they will support a Democrat? I have heard Republicans say that. To be Republicans, you must support murderers of your own people. For example, Kim Jong-un. For example, MBS of Saudi Arabia. To be Republican, you must believe that President Obama was responsible for 9/11. How dumb is that? Again, I have heard Republicans say that President Obama was responsible for 9/11. To be a Republican, you must believe that racism did not exist until President Obama was elected. Again, I have heard that dumb bunch of Republican, racist, delusionist, lousy excuses for human beings say that racism did not exist until President Obama was elected. To be Republican, you must deny that white privilege is what got you to where you are today. Without white privilege, the corporate world, the political arena, every entity that we have to operate within, right here on this plantation called America. Without white privilege, those entities would not be controlled and dominated by white folks. White privilege is very powerful. It is invisible and it is ubiquitous. To be Republicans, you must deny white privilege. To be Republican, you must whitewash your true history. Do you see how they have whitewashed all of the atrocities, all of the terrible things that racist white folks have done to black folks right here on this plantation called America? They have whitewashed to the extent now whereby they want to call my enslaved ancestors just workers, or they will call them indigenous servants. Anything but slaves. To be Republican, you must be Hewitt. That's his name. He's a white boy from Youngstown, Ohio, I believe. He has a conservative radio program. His name is Hugh. First name is Hugh, H-U-G-H, and his last name is Hewitt, spelled H-E-W-I-T-T. His name is Hugh Hewitt. He's a devout Trump supporter. He's one of those undercover white supremacists to the core. To be Republican, you must be like Glenn Beck. Remember that name. He's a right-wing conservative radio host, a delusionist, racist white boy. He's a Republican. To be Republican, you must be a white supremacist. Trump is a white supremacist. All of those white Republicans are white supremacists undercover. Of course, they will deny it, but their root of their motivation, the root of their motivation is to create a country where their whiteness is supreme and white folks are in control, are in ownership of everything, and all non-white folks are subjugated. In other words, are dominated by white folks and their whiteness. To be Republicans, you must see my blackness as a weapon of mass destruction. Therefore, I am never unarmed. That is the delusionist attitude, the delusionist mental state of these Republicans. To be Republicans, you must fear black folks. You must see my black skin as armed and dangerous. To be Republican, you must be like Trump. You must be as dumb as Trump. You must be as racist as Trump. you must be as destructive as Trump. You must be as unpatriotic as Trump. To be Republican, you must be likened to Mitch McConnell. You must be likened to Devin Nunes. You must be likened to John Cornyn. You must be likened to Kevin McCarthy. You must be likened to Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz. To be Republican, you are underneath that same umbrella as all of those folks I just named. To be Republican, you must support the Confederacy. You must be against destroying the federal statutes. You must be against changing the names of some of our Army bases and Army posts, removing the names of those treasonous traitors, Republican, Confederate generals, etc., etc. To be Republican, you must be a traitor. And traitors are not patriots. To be Republican, you must be a traitor. We have two parties in this country. We have a party of traitors, the Republican Party, and we have a party of patriots, the Democratic Party. To be Republican, you must think wearing a mask is not manly nor courageous. That's the attitude of these Republicans. So when you are out and about and you see these white folks, and I see them a lot, that are unmasked, you can safely assume that these folks are a dumb bunch of Republicans because they are the ones that want to unmask. They are the ones that think wearing a mask is cowardice and unmanly. To be Republican, you must think COVID-19 is a hoax that will not kill you because your whiteness is your defense. There are Republicans out there that think that way. Put a camera and a microphone in their face, and you will find that there are Republicans that think that their whiteness is their defense from COVID-19. To be Republican, you must think Trump is your white Jesus, that Trump has been sent to save white folks and to sustain, to implement, to bring to fruition those delusionist white folks' vision of white supremacy. A country, a world where white supremacy reign, R-E-I-G-N. To be Republican, you must be a delusionist, having an illusion of whiteness is purity and superior to all others. To be Republican, you must be a delusionist, having an illusion of whiteness is purity and superior to all others. Therefore, to be a Republican is the lowest form of physical configuration of the Creator's creations. And I will say that again. Therefore, to be a Republican is the lowest form of physical configuration of the Creator's creations. That's what I have on this one. Please go to thethrasherway.libsyn.com. There you will have access to all that I do. And please download, and download some more. Talk to you again